Oh, we will be making it. I'd just like to point out that the latest patch for last epoch has 0.9.1 default. Like shots fired, they're actually default. I like it. Now I know developers love DIABLO. They have a lot of good things in there. Teleporting bears and whatnot. So I'm excited to do this. This should be pretty fun. Gonna clean up my description and all that, and I'll be ready to go. I'll hop right into this. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. Alright. Hopefully, what we'll be doing is the login screen. I'm not gonna get like really like detailed. Oh, this login versus this login. I just want to go to skills. A couple other things that people do this live. We're gonna log in on both. Now I have EPOCH on PC, obviously. I guess that's the one downfall of EPOCH right now. It's PC only. Whereas, yeah, multiple. And character select screen. Honestly, it's pretty much the same. Can't get it wrong. I mean, I've played a lot of EPOCH. I do a hardcore character, softcore, all kinds of stuff. Having a lot of fun right now playing EPOCH. I guess we're doing 4. Stay off hardcore just in case I can get myself killed. Now, go on my Druid. I've been working on a Druid build that's a little different from my Boulder Dash. A lot of people will look at Boulder Dash. Hopefully I'll do a stream of the new Boulder Dash and everybody can see what I'm picking. Something new to EPOCH also is, you know, you can see people in town now. That wasn't a multiplayer game not too long ago. You can play with your friends and trading. Fun. And on the Diablo side, we're all familiar with it, I think. Hit the main town real quick. A little bit since I've been on Diablo. Been all over the place. So this is pretty much the end of time is the main hub for EPOCH for sure. Like this is where you're gonna spend most of your time. Anytime you're coming back. Inventory. I think the inventory system for EPOCH is closer to Path of Exile because everything is totally customized. Now, I'm really sloppy, so not everything's where it should be. It's like there's axes in the key tab, and, you know, whatever. But you can, if you're really good at organizing your stash. EPOCH definitely has a really good stash. Like you can just add it. Now it does cost in-game currency. Like I'm up to 540,000 per tab because I'm a hoarder. And honestly, that's peanuts once you get in the higher up and you're just constantly farming and it looks really good. All right. And then we have Diablo stash. is something as a hoarder, I have a huge problem with because it's been tiny since the beginning, and there had been no way to upgrade it until recently. So that was a nice add-on, but it does cost a crap load of money. The same really. I mean, you've got 400,000 for an extra tab. I wonder how much. So that. Oh, they added one extra tab. Okay, never mind. So, I mean, for me, who in a game like Diablo and Epoch, where they want you to use items to create other items, and use, I like to keep everything because I'm like, oh man, I can use something else or another character. That's one of the things I like about Epoch. Like, it's got one of the old school. Like you find a bow like this, and you're like, oh wow, hey, I want to make a build. I think that's what Diablo 4 is missing a little bit of. Just uniques don't feel unique enough, you know? You don't find something in there, and I mean, there are some things, like my Boulder Dash build, obviously. There are some, but they're not a lot. So, one of my issues with Diablo 4 is I'd like to see a lot more uniques you would want to build with. Like right now, Epoch has so many uniques that you can just build whatever you want. And that's what draws you in. Like, you'll be on one character, and something will drop, like a bow like this, and you'll be like, man, I really want to make a multi-shot build like that. And that makes you create another character. And then while you're playing on that character, on that build, you'll find another item, which leads you to another character. And that just keeps you playing. It really does. It keeps you playing a lot. Just finding really cool uniques that you are into and you want to create a build. Now, what we'll get into right now, basically, I think last Epoch stash is, you know, it's on par with Path of Exile. And then, well, Diablo stash has been alright, but I would love to see it much bigger than and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go through the skills. Ability tree. Now, I had an issue with the ability tree for Diablo 4 right off the bat. I felt like it wasn't that extensive for a game like Diablo. You know, I was a hardcore Diablo 2, so I loved playing Diablo. There was so many interesting things that you can go. Yeah, and that's what Epoch does. If you look at their skills, each character has a skill tree. Skills have skill trees within them. So if you click on a skill and you want to upgrade this particular skill, you can take it in so many different ways. You can turn your mages into casters. Like, they can shoot fire. They can summon skeletons. Can turn into different types of skeletons. I mean, there's just so many different ways, and you can only have as many as you have on the bar. So this is definitely set up to where it could be done with controller, which some people do. And so hopefully we see console off of that soon. And skills, yeah, like I said, there's just so many different ways. You can turn your exploding zombies into poisonous zombies, freezing zombies. You can turn them into high health tanking stuff and blowing up. You can get them to curse people as they explode. There's just so many different ways you can take your skills. And then in Diablo, I mean, I feel like I am, when I'm playing it, I feel like I'm limited, especially when it comes to like meta build. Like, you almost have to go a certain way if you want to be decent. And honestly, in Epoch, you can kind of build what you want and get pretty far in the end game, unless you're trying to go to like the corruption 1,000. Anything further than that. I'm having a little video issue. PlayStation. Like I said, I'm streaming from PS5. And then skill system. And, you know, there are a lot of options for sure, but like I said, I feel like with this type of tree, kind of limited. I feel like there's very little for expansion of the character itself. Like, you're either a werebear who does this, or you're a werewolf. And within Epoch, you can be a summon necro. I should also note that each class type, and they'll have warlocks unlocking soon. And they have necromancer, and the lich, which allows you to take your build even further with a necromancer. So you could disregard summons altogether and completely build around that, where you're just unkillable lich. The passive trees are very extensive. Most of them actually can change abilities. Like I think for the Sentinel class, like there's a lot of things that change around abilities within the passive tree, which is really nice. Same with the sorcerer. You can change like the properties of a lot of the spells, like turn them cold, fire, all that, just to the passive tree, which is kind of like the paragon that you see in Diablo, which I was, Paragon system, it's nice, but it's just honestly just small damage upgrades here or there. So I'd like to see them do more with that. Maybe make one of the trees that enhance things further than what you can. That, or they start working on just having a more extensive item system. I don't know. But overall, we can look. Diablo. Diablo is beautiful. Diablo looks. The artwork of Diablo is amazing. I love the way Diablo looks. Issue with Diablo. I wish there was a little bit more. I want to see even more. I feel like the map's a little small. But overall, the looks of Diablo look. I just wish there was more of the looks.
Not while I'm in town.
The abilities, the skills. No, I've had some issues with like the necromancer skills where you can't see anything. Like that was my first build, was like the big AoE, corpse explosion, shadow damage, which was fun, but when you were playing with your friends, you couldn't see anything. If you were standing in it, you couldn't see the stuff from the enemies on the ground. You couldn't see your own stuff on the ground. It was a mess. So, yeah, I mean, they've definitely had their issues. I'm a long time ago. How the boulder just rolls across the top of the town.
I'm also a spirit. I'm not ready yet.
I just wish we had more character. I wish there was more uniques. Endgame. Now, Endgame is where I like Epoch over Diablo for sure. You have multiple areas that turn into level 100. So you work your way through the monoliths. Boom, 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 boom. You go from 60, 62, 66. There's like a build up, and then you go to the 90s, and you beat all 3 bosses. Now each one of these, you keep doing them, you keep clearing them, and you build up these points, and you take these points to fight the boss. Now each area has a boss, and bosses have unique drops to them, and that's something I love too. You have a lot of different options for farming. Like, oh man, I really need this. Like the guy who's killed multiple of my Void Knights. He has a particular relic that drops that's really good for lightning. So, I mean, you can sit there and try to farm that over and over and over. Maybe get the best rolls, the best drops. It's just, I feel like there's a lot more to do in Epoch's endgame, for sure. After you beat the 90 bosses, it unlocks 100, and that makes all of these 100, which has unique drops. When you head to them. Loading times on Epoch, they've always been decent, but sometimes they're a little long. They've definitely been getting better since they've been doing these patches. That's another thing, they're just constantly updating everything. So this is what I was saying. When you go to area 100, you actually have chances for the nodes to have helmets, shields, or bows. If you're looking for something in particular as you're trying to farm, you can go to one of these and figure it out. And in these, you complete these levels, and then the web opens up, and you go further and further and further, and you can fight these smaller bosses, which will corrupt these and make them harder, better drops. I mean, it's just a constant. You just keep going. Like there's almost no end to the end. You know, you can get to 100, and I guess that's where the game bogs down a little bit. And once you reach max level, you're kind of like, what do I do from here? You know, which is fine because you're sitting there. Like I said, the uniques kind of pull you in to play other characters. You find a really nice unique sword that complements the blade dancer, and you're like, hey man, I want to go make a blade dancer. Let's go here. It may suck, it may not. I mean, you that's the nice thing about Epoch is end game really goes much further than what Diablo 4 did. That being said, Diablo 4, I like their system where you're constantly doing the dungeons, and they're going in the right direction like that. One thing I have a problem with on the dungeons is the boss fights at the end of the dungeons. They almost, I feel like they shouldn't exist because the boss is so easy once you're at a certain point. That why do you have this boss at the end of this dungeon where all the mobs are so much harder than the boss? Then you get to the boss and you pretty much can one-shot it. And that right there
I do not have enough spirit.
is a big turnoff for me when it comes to that, because I would love to see at the end of the really hard dungeon that I just did, I have to fight this boss and I have to fight my way past him and get to the end and get my rewards, instead of, all right, well, here's the boss, let's just go click and he's dead. You know, I want to see, you either need to remove the bosses from the dungeon or make them harder, because right now I feel like there's no need to have, other than, you know, oh well, this is the end of the dungeon, completed. But the mobs are definitely harder in Diablo 4 than their actual dungeon bosses. Now, I haven't been on it a bit, they may have upgraded that, so I'll probably, on my next stream, when I'm streaming my my new Boulder Dash build, I'll definitely do a couple of dungeons and see what everything's going like. But that's kind of how where it was at when those bosses were just lackluster in dungeon. I'd like to see that a little bit. You know how like endgame Lilith is a pretty hard fight. I'd like to see a little bit harder fights from Diablo 4. I think there's a lot that Diablo 4 could take from Epoch, and a lot that Epoch could take from Diablo 4. As far as they're working on just the overall immersiveness of Epoch in their levels. I'd like to see more of that, like Diablo has. Like if you're going out and you're hitting, like the first act they really redid and it looks really good, and that's the right direction they need to go for the immersiveness. And so long since it's been, I don't know that I can. But I don't have it. But they totally redid the first area, and it looks really nice. And I hope they continue to include that immersiveness and really polish it up to really start to look. Because that's the thing about Diablo's level, is you feel, when you are playing it, you feel like you're there, your character, every little spot feels unique. It feels pretty good when you're playing it. It's just the lack of things. You know, that's where Diablo 4 is of character building. Like I think this is the most unique thing I've seen was my Boulder Dash build. And then I was like exploring other builds, and there just really isn't that many ways to expand your build in Diablo. So, and then that could be just because they need more uniques. Maybe they don't need to change the skill trees all that much. Maybe they can play into items, and I think that'd be an easy fix. Just start making some uniques that really can change character. They have that, you know, you can make the, you know, the electric werewolves, which is kind of like a hybrid I have going on right now. Is my electric werewolf is a Boulder Dash build too, and that's good, but there's not enough of them. And maybe more boss specific uniques would be really pretty up. That way it'd get you farming world bosses. I mean, I've been seeing people delete world bosses in seconds, so obviously it's something they're going to have to work on. I think overall bosses in Diablo 4 need a lot of help. Boss fights should be something you struggle with, and it should be intense. You should be scared, especially if you're playing hardcore. And right now, bosses in Diablo need to be beefed up. Now, bosses in Epoch, they're hard. Like, I've had my level 90s. I've had a level 87 die in just a random boss fight. And it was just, I wasn't good enough with the mechanics, and I tried to dash. You can still die. Epoch has a really good system of making you feel like you're this all-powerful god, and in the same very moment, destroy you. And I love that about it. Like, you're running around, you're like, man, I am such a badass. I'm doing so much damage. Man, nothing can kill me. And then you get murdered. And that keeps you on your toes. Another thing that they have with their item system, in particular, their monoliths, when you're in and about and items are dropping and you're just clearing the monolith, if you happen to die and you're leaving all the items on the ground and not picking them up, all those items are gone. And in core, I think that's really nice because it gives a little more value to your life. So if you got a purple and there's a unique on the ground, you're like, oh man, I want to check that out, and you're having a tough time and you're trying to get to it, and then you die because you're trying to pick it up, and then you didn't get it picked up, it's gone. So I like the fact that items will disappear if you die. It gives a little more, like I said, it gives you a little more value to your life in Epoch. The chance to lose items that are on the ground, it adds a little element. Obviously, playing hardcore, as I do now, is totally terrible. I have lost many Void Knights so many times. It's been rough, but I'm enjoying myself immensely. And we can go back into skills. I did a little sidetrack in there, but let's just do a little more Epoch skills. As what I was saying was, you can take all these skills and take them in so many different ways. That's where Epoch edges Diablo 4 for sure. Diablo 4 skill system, like I said, maybe it just needs some unique. Maybe they don't have to totally rework the whole skill system. Add a bunch more unique that really enhance different skills in different ways. That way you want to build off of certain items. And I think that's where Diablo 4 can kind of make a comeback. They still got to work on their end game quite a bit. Diablo 4 is hands down so beautiful. It is the world, the immersiveness. I really want to see that from Epoch. I feel immersed in some places, but then some towns in Epoch, I'm just like, I don't feel like there's a connection there with the NPCs in some of the towns. So definitely would love to see that. I'd love to see more immersiveness from Epoch, and I'd like to see more variety of items and skills from Diablo 4. I think they both can learn from each other in that manner. And I think Epoch is in the right direction. Like I said, they did upgrade their first area, and it looks really good. We'll try going in. I'll show you a little bit of Necromancer. Now, we have been doing hardcore and I've been running nothing but see what I mean? Like, it'll make you feel like you're really strong, and in the same moment, you can just get destroyed. Really. I just love the feel of the right now. Really. I see a purple. I haven't dipped into purple just yet, but basically LP on an item. Let me explain to you. Obviously, I've already LP'd this out. Okay, so legendary potential. Basically, you find these purples, and it would have to be a staff like this right here. And let's just say, I'm like, oh man, this is fire damage. I want to get minion spell damage on this, and this will really take this to the next level. So you want to take and find a purple with like minion spell damage or this or that, whatever you want. Like right there, 169% minion spell damage. I have a chance now. You take this to a forge to complete a dungeon that opens up a forge area, and it allows you to shove that purple into that unique, and then you take your unique to the next level. And that's where the end game for Epoch is so much more extensive, because you could find this unique you've been finding the whole time, but then all of a sudden you find a 3LP one, right? You have a chance to make that thing godly. You find you a good purple, you shove it in there, and next thing you know, you got something like this, where you've got 3LP Aberrant's Call, and I've added 158 spell damage, 154 increased fire damage, minion increased damage, like all that is added to it. And that's what I'm saying. You have, like right here, this is the one. I'm not using my 3LP one because I ended up rolling a 311% increased minion spell damage on my Aberrant's Call. So now all my little spirits I'm fucking summoning up right here can now do way more damage, and you can just roll through killing these level 100s pretty easily. But like I said, you still got to be careful. It does a good job of making you feel like a god, but then you overextend and boom, you're dead. I like that. You know, something I like on there is that when the Necro dies, he keeps all his sub. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, I'd like to see more inventory space from Diablo 4. I'd like to see more immersiveness from Epoch. I like everything they're doing right now with the uniques are fantastic. They actually came out with some new uniques with the Weaver's Will. That's a unique you find, and it has its set properties, and then it'll add more properties as you use it. So you'll have like 15 Weaver's Will, and it'll add, and it'll upgrade, and it'll add another one, an affix or a suffix. I haven't even gotten to the forging, so let's go over to Diablo real quick. Basically, forging in Epoch is far superior to forging Diablo 4. This is turning into Epoch just better than Diablo 4. I'm not trying to make it like that, but that's kind of how it is going. We're gonna shoot over here to the floor. I don't remember.
What will it be?
Yeah, so upgrading items is cool. Basically, same thing for here. Like, let's just say I found a wand, right? Now, in Epoch, there's a lot of different little currencies that you can use. Like, you can re-roll pretty much everything. Affix, shatter this. And see, shattering it will give you points, shards into this, shards of that, shards of that. Anything that's on it, you can get more shards of. And that way, you can actually level up individual properties on the weapon itself. So you could take this 55 and turn it into a 76 by adding an upgrade. So they really... You could find a random... Like, what I like to do, because I'm a hardcore and we die and we have to, like, run back and create your character a lot. Let's go down.
Yes.
Basically, what you would do is... I would find a purple... or a blue relic, let's just say. Oops. Blue gauntlet. I forget double click. Alright. Also, you can open your forge up anywhere, including in which is really handy. So you'll drop your blue, you're like, oh man, I want some... I need some fire resistance on that. Alright, so let's add that. And use your Glyph of Hope, and well, I just lost all forging potential on that one. Forging potential is important. Basically, that allows you, if you run out of forging potential, you can no longer keep upgrading. And I like it. Like, oh man, I have a chance to beat this guy. Start doing something to it. Boom, you blow all your fortune. Like, no! So it just keeps you like, alright, well, I gotta try this again. I find something just as godly and try to get that done. But basically, you can add things you want to it, and then boom, in the beginning, you can have yourself a nice little yellow. You gotta turn that blue into a yellow by adding more properties. It gives you a lot of room to take items that are just regular and turn them into something decent that you need on the fly. Like, you find a white on the ground, you do a use one of these little bad boys right here. Use one of these right here, and it will give you 4 random properties. Will turn it into a yellow right on the spot for you. out in the field, which is really nice when you're up and coming. You're trying to make a new character, and you've got something I love about this game too, as well, is it seems like a near limitless way to make your items a lot stronger, and that's really helps out with the end game. On top of having all the nice uniques, just being able to take pretty much all your items to the next level. Item set. Let's look at that quick. A bit like this. You know, when it comes to inventory management, I really don't know what I like better. I like playing. I guess it really doesn't. Do I like playing this little Tetris game where I'm trying to shove everything in? Does everything just need to be a square block? I think maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about the just one slot for everything and all that. Because then sometimes I'm like, man, why is this body armor the same size as the damn ring? You know, I don't know. And then other times I'm like, I'm constantly dealing with inventory space and this. Like, it's the same. I don't know. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. But what we got here? Helmet, 2 rings, a belt, gloves. Pretty much the same. Comes to that. Like my druid, I mean, he's got some really nice unique. Made my class like the boulder dash build. That really got me into Diablo, was being able to make a build. And I don't think there's enough. There's not enough for people to really explore their build and take them to the next level, or make them feel like it's something that they created. And in Epoch, there's a lot of that. You can go a lot of different ways with a lot of different builds. The buddy I play with, we will make the same character of the same class. Like, let's just say we both went down Necromancer. We could create 2 Necromancers, and my Necromancer would be completely different from his Necromancer. Same goes for the Rogue, the Sentinel, the Druid, all of that. Like, we have gone down the same path, the same passive path. And we have made 2 totally different characters, like every per class, that you guys could take the same character type, the same path, and have 2 totally different playstyles, which is something I love about it. I just love the variety. That's what drew me into Diablo 2 way back in the day, was you had your smite, your hammered, and you had all of that. Like, each character could go so many different ways, and I think that's been watered down over the years in Diablo. I feel like we've gotten to a point where the builds are a lot less. Maybe that's just due to the lack of uniques, or maybe they're just trying to make it more new player friendly. And I apologize for my video. I'll figure that out next time. What's going on with that? But realistically, I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more inventory space from Diablo for sure. I'd like to see more immersiveness from Epoch. I'm definitely an Epoch fan. I've played these games my whole life. Epoch is up there as one of the best. I think a lot of people need to check. I think more people. And if you haven't checked out Diablo, I still say it's worth a shot. Up until you get real deep in the end game, Diablo is a blast for sure. Diablo is a lot of fun. Just starting out and trying to explore it, and it's so beautiful. Their teleport system's great, and their map is really, really nice. PvP, that's where I guess Diablo has an edge on Epoch. Epoch doesn't have PvP yet, but it is in the works. That's going to work out. Now they're going to balance that. I feel bad for the devs at Epoch. Because I know that it is not easy to balance a PvE PvP. Hopefully they have some kind of formula they're going to be working on, and it's going to be really good. Right now they have like a a ladder kind of arena style. Like you kill things in an arena, and whoever gets the highest goes on a leaderboard. That's the only kind of PvP they got right now. So I guess Diablo, what kept me playing Diablo 2 for so long was I wanted to find the items for PvP. Strong. And that's where the Boulder Dash build kept me pushed back. So Diablo 2 definitely has a way to keep you drawn in more because of the PvP, I think. So that is definitely where Diablo 2 has the edge on Epoch, is because you've got PvP, and PvP can be fun. PvP can be a nightmare as well. It means just one-shot builds all day in PvP on Diablo. So I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing. They get it balanced properly. My God, it can be fun. It can draw you in. You'll want to find gear. You want to farm more. You want to do a lot. Adding that competitiveness to a game always draws more people in and keeps them playing. Once Epoch gets that added in there, it's really going to be a nice, clean game. So, a lot I'd like to see from Epoch. A lot I'd like to see from Diablo. I definitely like I like Diablo's dungeons. They really have to work on their boss fight. Even the world boss is a joke. And that's tough. Just mount. I don't really care how I get around, really. I mean, in a Diablo, running from here to there with a mount, that's cool, but then you don't have mounts in this because it's a little more linear than Diablo is. I don't mind any game being linear from point A to point B is interesting. Because I mean, realistically, you're gonna in Diablo. I know it's an open world, but you'll end up going here and then running straight to the dungeon. You won't see it on the way. That's what it ends up turning into. So it really doesn't matter that it's open world or not. As long as what's between point B is really interesting and there's stuff to do. So open world isn't like a deal breaker. Being linear is a deal breaker. And what else have we not touched on? I could go in depth on forging potential and forge. There's just so much to talk about with forging. So much to talk about forging. It makes Diablo's forging in Epoch is on the next level. In item customization, including uniques, and that's really, like I said, what takes Epoch's endgame to the next level. Is just being able to take these uniques that you've been using, and you find a LP version of it, and you can make this unique a godlike one, and that really helps. Tabs, good there. We've gone over spells. I'm not going to go over it in detail. I just wanted to show that, there's just so many different options on spells. Each individual spell in Epoch can go so many different directions. I'd like to see a little bit more of that on Diablo. Oh, okay. And then the filter system. Settings. There are filters for each character. Now all my filters got wiped. I changed PCs. But you can create a filter for anything. I mean, anything at all. It's ridiculous. Like, Epoch has one of the best loot filters I've seen in the game, and it's built in. You can change the color, the shape, everything, and then add a rule, and then you go condition. Say class requirement, sentinel, for a sentinel item, and then you add a condition. And then you say you want an aphis. You want melee. Like, it goes on and on and on and on. You can actually go down to exact percentages what you want on like just to say I want these 4 specific things on a necklace on this one necklace type. Like, let's just close this out. Let's just say we want an item type, and then we want, let's just say, accessory. We want an amulet. Okay, confirm. Now the type, classes. Now it'll show you the classes you can get of the amulet, all available in the whole game. You'll say, hey, I want physical resistance and necrotic resistance. In hardcore, we like to do bone amulet. Boom, and then you can add a condition onto that bone amulet and go to affixes. Go there. And then you can sit here and you can pick whatever the damage type. You can pick all damage types. You can go from lightning damage, and then you can add, you also want physical penetration or lightning penetration, and then you hit confirm. Boom. Now you can find a bone amulet with lightning damage and lightning penetration. And then you could sit here and recolor it. And so when it drops, it'll be red. You hit confirm, add, boom. Now on your character, anytime one of those amulets drop, it'll be a nice bright red. You'll see it, you'll get it, and it's just the filter system is insane on EPOCH. It's absolutely lovely. Now let's look at the filter system on Diablo. Options, maybe? System on Diablo is... Gameplay? Filter system on Diablo is... They don't have a filter system. There you go. Oh well. So, I mean, hey, I wish they did, because their system is designed a little bit like EPOCH, where you're trying to find items for the forge and you want to shove it in there and you want to keep certain properties, and they don't have a filter system. I think they went that way. They went the way where they want you to look at items, they want you to look at the stats, and they want you to shove one thing in another or make this a little bit better, but they don't have a filter system for it. It makes trying to find items tedious, boring. I'd like to see them. They just need a filter system for their items. I mean, really. I mean, that would help out a little bit with just going for those certain builds you want now, those certain items, like having to look at every single one of them around instead of being able to filter it out. Right. So that's the great thing about EPOCH. Like, there's so many good things that EPOCH's doing that Diablo can learn from, and yeah, EPOCH, in my opinion, as of right now, definitely. Yeah, I just love everything they're doing. And, I love Diablo to death. I've always loved Diablo, but I have been at the end of it when I got to the end game, definitely. Really. And all I want to do is play EPOCH. You know, I have multiple level 100 characters, 90s, I'm doing hardcore. It's just so much more entertaining. And really, I think, and that's what my argument with Diablo 4 was at the very beginning. I wanted to see more uniques. I wanted the name unique to mean something. Because unique was not, when I was finding these items, they were all the same, and it was like, oh, they slapped the word unique on it. Orange. Just seeing the orange, and it was disappointing because it wasn't that unique. It didn't make me feel it. There are some items in there I get to see. And this is really just turned into a talk about how much better EPOCH is than Diablo. Hey, that's just the way it is. I love Diablo. I love some of the things they've done. They've definitely done some really good things. They need to just keep working on it. They just need to keep working on it. I think they should come over and just kind of check out Epoch and see what they're doing. They really should. The devs should be like, man, we need some of this. Because I've seen a lot of people comparing Diablo 4 to that. I think these two are actually closer in that manner because of the Forge and all that. I think there's a lot that Diablo was trying to get from Epoch, but they didn't quite deliver on a lot of it. I just think they need to really tap into what Epoch's doing. And Epoch really needs to tap into the level design and the immersive. When I'm in town in Diablo, I feel like talking to people, you know? I mean, you go to the blacksmith, and honestly, it's not. Here. And half the people you can't even talk to in the town in Diablo. You just feel like you're actually in a town, and you're drawn into it. So, and each town seems unique. I think Epoch's town, they feel a little bunched up and not as unique from each other. So that'd be great.
I'm not ready.
Hopefully they improve on that. Town area.
I'm not
now,
ready. I need
honestly, Diablo and Epoch do have. They have similar areas where Diablo is get more immersive from Diablo from Epoch, and Diablo gets more variety in item character class, like Epoch. And then Diablo 4 definitely needs to work with bosses. Joke, like we talked about. Yeah, right now this was pretty much a test stream for doing a dual stream. I've never done something like this before, and anybody who tuned in, I really appreciate it. And we're gonna end it there. And I'll do some snippets and make little shorts out of this. For later on the channel, but I wanted to test this out, see how it goes. Totally unscripted. I just whipped this up real quick. Didn't plan anything, so that's why I was a little all over the place. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Hopefully, I'll show more gameplay rather than me talking about each thing. But yeah, it was kind of a side-by-side comparison just to see how they were. But it was more just me talking about how nice Epoch is and how Diablo needs to step up their game. At least in the end game. I think their early game was really fun. I really enjoyed myself. But end game fell off real hard. Epoch picks that up. Their end game's amazing. And honestly, their early game, building up to it, the story's decent, but like I said, it doesn't feel as immersive, and they could work on that. I really do enjoy Epoch as a whole. Just the build up to endgame in Epoch is a little more stale than what Diablo's doing. They're kind of in reverse. Diablo 4's endgame needs work. Epoch's beginning kind of needs work, which they are doing. So hopefully in the next year, Epoch will be just completely amazing. Cool. It plays so well. It's so entertaining. Every class. It doesn't matter what I build. I'm having fun no matter what I build. Find an item. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. It enhances this. I wanted to build like that. And I make the character around that item. And then I find other items that enhance that. And, just building characters is just so much more entertaining. Alright, that's it for this stream. You guys stay lit, my friends.